Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today, a time of eclectic readings, sharing of perspectives, meditation, and prayer. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader at the newly joined Centers for Spiritual Living Communities of Columbia and Greater Baltimore. Today is pre-recorded for April 19th because I have another commitment in the morning. And so, in order to honor both, I am using the technology to pre-record today's episode. For those of you that are new to Just for Today, I look around my office and whatever book spine catches my attention, I pull it off the shelf, open it up, and wherever it lands is what I read from for the morning, and then allow that to move through me, and I share my thoughts on that and invite you to do the same. So this morning, Undefended Love. And what I opened it up to was the bottom of page 8 caught my attention, and here's what it offers us. Spiritual practices such as meditation, prayer, or yoga deepen our capacity to feel and sustain this fullness of connection to ourselves and to life. Through these pursuits, we gain confidence that we can know the part of us that is loving and peaceful, and we learn to trust that those qualities abide within us even when they are not accessible. These practices help us quiet our minds and open our hearts, making us less susceptible to the emotional and circumstantial tides of our daily lives. I personally needed that this morning because I'm navigating a situation in my daily life that is challenging and in no way insurmountable when I slow down and practice spiritual principle over personalities and allow myself to remember that there is a capacity within me to be undefended, to love without defenses, and to understand in a whole new way that love in and of itself necessitates undefended approaches, because if I'm defending, I have stepped out of love and into this place of perceived threat. Now, there is a place in this earthly reality where threat is real in the physical realm, but typically not as often as we project it to be. The thought fear that creates threats that aren't really threats at all. My experience is that comes when I decide, when I am running a narrative inside my head, that I potentially and likely am going to lose something that I have decided I have to have. And so then I'm no longer loving, and I'm certainly defended, because now I'm protecting that thing rather than being present with life as life is. And the practices, my spiritual practice reminds me that that peace, that calm, that internal knowing is still there, even when in this human realm it becomes inaccessible in moments. And so it's the dance with moments. It's being willing to hold myself accountable rather than waiting for someone else to hold me accountable. Accountable in the physical realm, and an accountability of wholeness in the spiritual realm. An accountability that recognizes the unity of spirituality, even when our human experiences seem divisive. That we may disagree, but that doesn't mean I have to be disagreeable, and it doesn't mean I have to exclude the ones that I disagree with from being spiritually one in the body of one creation. And so that's what comes up for me this morning in this reading. I'm going to read it one more time as I take us into our time of meditation. Spiritual practices such as meditation, prayer, and yoga deepen our capacity to feel and sustain this fullness of connection to ourselves and to life. Through these pursuits, we gain confidence that we can know the part of ourselves that is loving and peaceful, and we learn to trust that those qualities abide within us, even when they are not accessible. These practices help us quiet our minds and open our hearts, making us less susceptible to the emotional and circumstantial tides of our daily lives. So I invite you to join me in taking that into 5 minutes of meditation and contemplation. one power, one presence, one life, always one, indivisible one, everywhere present. It is simply the isness of life. It simply is. It has no beginning, it has no end. It simply is. And it is the substance out of which all form, function, experience is expressed. It is the energy, the light, the love, the peace, the power, the presence, the abundance, the intelligence, whatever word we use, it is all of that unformed expressing in form through this thing called desire. And so I know that I am a desire of creation to experience itself as this life that I am living. And as I know that truth about me, I know that truth about all. And in the truth that all are divine desires of creation to express itself, there is no attack and no defense. There's simply expression, free of condemnation, and yet never free of consequence. And so I claim and affirm that within me is the willing embrace of every demonstration, every consequence that is set in motion by consciousness, no longer willing to separate my consciousness from another's. I claim and affirm that I am living into a greater experience, a greater embrace, a greater embodiment of one that takes complete ownership for every experience within the body, that acknowledges, that owns, that embodies that there is an inextricable relationship of every expression within the one body, every cell communicating with, creating an environment for and as every other cell, every other individualized expression, however we language it. I claim and affirm an accountability of the oneness of creation, of the wholeness of one body of life, one activity of life. Allowing myself to understand at increasingly deeper levels that my very awareness of a thing informs my relationship with it. And so I claim and affirm the power within me to neutralize all thought and belief that is out of integrity but the wholeness of one. The claim and affirm within me is a knowing of truth in all of its expressions. That there is a gentleness, that there is a love, that there is a compassion, that there is a kindness. That lives, that there is nothing to defend, but rather everything to own, to celebrate, to shift, to neutralize, to heal. Every sense of separation, returning over and over and over to the understanding of one, knowing that as that return is made over and over again, the experience is gained. One power, one presence, one love, one life, one body, many cells, never separate. Full unity, absent of uniformity. The harmonious operation of one, the birthright of creation, is my birthright. It is the birthright of all creation. And so I affirm and I claim it now as the awakening of the magnificence of life, the wholeness of life, of the glory of life. And I feel a shift within me. And I celebrate. I celebrate that activity of creation that I know as law, because it operates in a lawful way, in an impartial way, making the desires of creation so. So I know that what has been spoken this morning is already done, already complete. Not bound by time and space, I move through this day looking for the evidence of the completeness of the word spoken, open to experiencing it however it shows up, whenever it shows up, knowing that when and where and how it shows up is dependent on my openness to see and experience it. And so I open by letting go of all preconceived notions of limitation of how it should show up. I release all of the shoulds and stand in the is, so that I can see and be the greatest expression of life that I am. So I let go. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amin. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.